Group caller for tonight is books. Books. What happened last time?
So last time, initially we were trying to get through Starport Customs, and it ended up taking forever. Um, we were stuck with somebody that thought we were part of the missing ship, like part of the crew, I believe. And then we eventually decided that if we go as tourists, we'll be let in, and we did, which was really funny because we ended up being stuck there for a long time. Then we kind of wandered around. We did searching about what happened to the former crew. We kept hearing kind of stories about them, and kind of the ruckuses that they caused. And we eventually decided to take a job, to go to I guess, a volcano where the ship is, and basically bring back the ship, I believe. And we had somebody bring us as far as they could on the mountain, to start this journey by foot to get to the ship and repair it. We started to get altitude sickness, or we were wary of that, so we took it slow, and we're trying to be careful so we don't all get altitude sickness. And then Dex ended up getting hurt and knocked out, I believe, and then it ended with
What happened? How did I get knocked out?
Method acting. I like it.
From my
know.
understanding, Dex, there was you fell, and I remember, let's see, Cleon tried to use a med kit on you, but it was unsuccessful. And so I believe we left it with you being knocked out. I don't know if that was actually resolved. I could be wrong about that. But the session ended with us discovering these cute little creatures, like a bunch of them. And yeah, that was it from my recollection.
Yeah, I think that's right. Let me fix this. That's where you are right now. The sun is almost about to rise. You can see the dim early nautical twilight over the ocean. The mountain still blocking it. Dex, I believe, is unconscious, with your endurance at 0, and I don't know what that may be it. I can't remember. Whatever you lost from Dex from there. Oh, because you have low Dex, you went unconscious. Endurance. Yeah, because I think maybe I rolled for it. I may not do that. I may just do endurance first next time. But anyways, Jackson, on a handhold, as you guys were trying to climb up, noticed all these little furry creatures in holes in the rocks. And when you look around right now, as the sun starts coming up, you have your electronic lantern or whatever it is that you're using to climb in the night. You've been climbing all night, starting in the evening and allowing the sun to set, and then climbing in the darkness. And you're carrying 2 heavy flight cases of equipment. You're also carrying, now somebody is working to haul up decks as well. And this is slowing you down. There's a few things as the sun rises around you that you can see, of note. One of them is, a dark black hardened line, a thing along the mountain that looks as if tar or ink had just tumbled down the mountain. Now, you don't have to roll for this. I'll tell you that is hardened lava. This is clear evidence that the volcano is active. It is cooled and hardened. But, so you could actually use it as a path to help climb up. You could use either side of it and sort of chimney climb using the rocks to either side of the lava flow. It's not hot, hypothetically. The other thing that you can see is that if you weren't to use that, in some places, the switchbacks to try to get up to the caldera here have become sheer rock faces. You're not sure how long it would take, especially trying to carry the equipment and decks. So that's what you see around you right now. A couple of decisions to make. I'll toss the ball over to that's the crew one, to books. So
it looks like we have mainly two different options for how we continue our trek. I think I'd like to take a vote and see how everyone else feels, since I understand it's no longer hot, but it is an active volcano. I'm thinking to take that risk and go up that way, but I want to throw that out to the rest of the group. What do you guys think?
And I should clarify, it's only probably 100 meters away. So you could scurry ahead and you could test it, and you notice it's hardened almost like glass, and it contains only ambient heat. You could put your hand on it.
Okay. All right. So that seems fairly safe. So my vote is we make our way up that way. But what does everyone else think?
Sounds good
The
to me.
alternative probably being sheer cliff face.
In places. So when you look up,
Right.
you can see where you're probably fine most of the way, and then you look and you're like, I don't know if we can go around that or if we're going to have to climb up. From where you are, it's hard to tell. But you suspect that may happen if you stay along the rocks.
I don't know a lot about volcanology or how these sorts of things behave, if there's any risk of us like stepping on and then accidentally triggering something, but it feels to me like it's a nice and safe, like straightforward option on at least surface value.
Jackson will volunteer to scout ahead if we want to go up that way.
Sure, that sounds great. I was thinking too, if there was, some kind of other eruption, we probably wouldn't be very safe, regardless of where we were. So this seems like the best option. But if you want to scout ahead, that'd be awesome.
So
Yeah, pretty sure if this thing blows, we're screwed either way.
Jackson, you're going to separate ahead of the group to kind of pathfind to see if there are places that could give way or crevices and stuff like that?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'll be taking the faster run that we decided on. I think we decided on that.
Okay. If you do that, I will let you know. I will roll separate encounter checks for you. But you'll get the benefit of knowing, of being able to pass on that information. So, let's see here. Okay. You all travel over to where this lava flow has hardened, and you're able to kind of use the sides of it where it meets the soft stone of the mountain. By doing that, you're able to climb a lot faster. and even kind of improvise and hand off decks, ways to get him. You could probably attach him to a backpack and make a sled and pull him, because in places at least where it gets sharp or jagged or changes, you can kind of work around it. But this all leads to conditions that are at least not climbing, and you're able to make about 100 meters per hour. Jackson, you don't spot anything, but as you approach the lip of the caldera, Perseus, you see a bunch more of these little furry things. They kind of scatter like a bunch of roaches as you pass. And at this point, the sun has completely risen. It's morning here.
Does that seem that it's in response to just our presence or getting closer?
Yeah, it seems like as you pass, they just scatter because they
Gotcha.
see that you're there.
Well, there goes my breakfast plans, but that's all right.
Otherwise, you're able to make it up to the lip of the caldera, and you can see it's actually really beautiful here. You can see. Let me bring up the map. Does anybody have a compass? I can't remember if I asked that.
No. I have the inertial tracker, but that's it.
Okay. So from the direction you're climbing, you can see on the opposite side of the mountain, the opposite lip, even past it, obscured only by that lip, there is ocean and coast. And it seems like the opposite side of the mountain is adjacent just to the coast, within a kilometer or two. And because you're on the near side of the mountain, you probably can't see anything else on the coast, but you look around from behind you with the sun rising, and you can see that you're on the edge of a peninsula. And kilometers off to your right in the distance, you can see one coast, and the same thing to your left, another coast. And from behind you, you can see the trees where the base, the foothills that they were able to get you to in the ground car. And then on the near side of those trees, a lake that you drove past on the way in. And Walston looks like this rocky Mars-looking type place, dusty, as far as you can see around you in this peninsula otherwise. But there's a beautiful sunrise here. And then in the actual caldera, you can see that there is there are kind of three features. Well, four that I'll point out here that I think are significant. One is that the caldera is about 2 kilometers across in diameter. And after about 1 kilometer or so, and it's forested here, down deep inside of this place. There's a hardy mountainside brush that somehow is managing to survive at this altitude. And then just past that brush, there is a length of maybe 500 meters of water. And beyond that water, in the very center, is an island. And on the island, that's just barren. It looks like a perfectly flat, level island. You see the familiar delta shape of a scout courier. And lastly, you also see some places where there are caves, cave-type entrances and breaks in the earth just inside of the caldera before you get to the forest.
Are the caves in any particular part, or are they just around?
Roll do an intelligence check to meet 8. 2d6 to beat 8 on intelligence. What's your intelligence score? Attribute.
It's better than my dexterity, which is 3. So I have 3. 3 is my
3 intelligence?
Yeah.
Okay, then you would need to meet 3. You didn't need to meet 10.
So I need to meet 3?
10. Roll 2d6 to get 10.
Roll 2d6 to do it. I got 4.
4. The best that you can tell is that these caves are in the rocky portions. You don't see any in the forest or on the island or on the sides where the water, like the banks of the water.
You say the caves have bricks in them, or did I hear something way wrong? I think I must have heard something wrong. Okay,
I
never
don't
mind.
know. I do say things. So,
No, I think I misheard something.
I wouldn't put it. Yeah, okay.
Worst case scenario, we're talking about like alien hives or layers and whatnot. Best case scenario, secret mega dungeon inside of this, like the Caves of Chaos.
White Plume Mountain.
Yeah, it's like a cross of them.
I'm unconscious right now, but if I wasn't unconscious, I wouldn't mind going.
I'm sorry, I had you do a check. I forgot you're unconscious.
No wonder you failed.
You fade in and out like you're like, caves?
I'm just kind of mumbling in the background.
I'm sorry.
Incoherently. But I wouldn't mind going into the dungeon.
You're like completely hallucinating. You think there's dungeons?
He probably is. In fact, the other thing I forgot, this reminds me to mention, thanks for the reminder, is your third hour of oxygen from your masks has expired. And you know that time is running out for you to become hypoxic and experience altitude sickness at probably 20,000 feet pressure altitude equivalent to Earth.
All right, I think we should hustle it just to that ship, and if we feel like exploring or that it's safe to explore later, we can revisit that, but...
We can find a way to cross the lake.
Yeah, I agree that we, with the oxygen running out, we don't really have time to do too much exploring. But after we get the ship, and which has oxygen, we could circle back if we need to. Yeah.
I gotta check. So it's about 1 kilometer away, since it's like dead center of a 2-kilometer diameter circle. Just regular walking speed. Yeah, we should get there like inside of an hour, I think. Honestly, maybe even like within 20 minutes.
Is that the plan, books? Just a dead reckon straight to the island.
Yeah, that's what makes sense to me. I mean, again, we could circle back if we need to after we get the ship, which has, oxygen that we could get started. But yeah, I think we should get there as soon as possible just to play it safe.
All right, you can sense, you have the benefits of pure cylinderized pure O2 that you had from your vac suit. So you're not noticing the symptoms of hypoxia yet. You're able to, like you said, carefully scramble down from the edge and walk across. In fact, it's much easier to walk here, other than just it being kind of sandy and loose gravel and stuff. But it's otherwise, this has been the easiest going you've had in the past 12 hours. You get to the shrubs. The shrubs have this zigzaggy kind of wild pattern like chipotle, but still have some greenery to them. They have a kind of chipotle-like fruit or bud that is not exactly a leaf, and you're able to avoid their thorns by kind of zigzagging through these tough bushes. And you make it to the water, and the water is dark. It's blue and dark, probably filled with all this silt and stuff. It's probably salty water.
Does anyone have anything that can float?
I don't have anything that could float, but I was thinking, I know I have some fishing line. Maybe if we tie something to the fishing line and throw it out, we could see how deep the water is.
Sure.
Okay.
Dex, I got it. Just yeet Dex out.
Oh no. Uh,
You guys can use my fishing stuff that I have.
what fishing stuff do
Okay.
you have?
I got the tackle, fishing tackle like the locals have. So I suppose it's like a, spin casting rod or whatever.
Okay. You have, yeah. Okay, tackle. All right, and then what you?
Anybody have anything nice and heavy that's waterproof that we can tie to that?
You look around and see a mountain full of rocks.
How
Not
easy it
enough.
is to tie something to
That's
a rock
true.
exactly.
It could be a pain in the butt. That's true. Maybe like
I could,
but
I could do my cutlass.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah. You tie it to the hilt of the cutlass and then like toss it. Yeah. Okay, you do that. Throw it about halfway in. It sinks, and you're able to get a knot, a gig line, where you can get a measurement of where the depth of the water is, and kind of do the math. You pull it back. If you were to kind of get the, I can't remember what that part of it's called, but the vertical part, the y-axis of that, and do the math for it. You guess that's about. Let me see here. I got a thing for this. It is 500 meters across and it's deep in the center where you threw it. So it's probably about 50 feet deep in the center.
Can we just swim it? I mean, how far to the ship to the island?
It's 500 meters across.
I'm gonna refresh because
And the island's like in the middle, roughly.
Yeah, and it's exactly in the middle.
Okay. So we should be able to swim 250 meters. We're not like in a big hurry. Just
Sure. Do you leave decks and your gear?
Sure. I'll head on out. I just want to investigate the ship and see if I can get it operational. See if there's oxygen inside.
Okay. All right.
Let me think. If there are particular skills that we want to send certain people as like the priority to get there, just in case we do decide to leave someone with Dex. I don't want them to get eaten by little fuzzy critters. The porgs, the Ewoks, whatever.
I have engineering and I have an electronic and a mechanical tool set. But
Kind of sound like the guy for the job. I have
I don't
just
know.
electronic.
Okay. I don't know if what skills you would need to repair a ship. I guess I just have engineering. You might need other skills.
Everybody has the basic skills needed to use one of the flight cases to evaluate what needs to be done and apply repairs.
Okay.
All
All right. Anyone coming out with me?
I'll go ahead with Cleon, and we'll swim on over.
All right. Let me toss it back to Books. So, does that sound okay with you? And then does that mean the rest of you are going to stay on the near side of the bank?
Yeah, I mean, I was initially thinking that, the fact that we know people go fishing around this area, so I'm thinking there's something in the water. So I was wondering initially if it would make sense to like have people go one at a time or to space it out just to be safe. But I do like the idea of, obviously we can't just leave Dex there by himself unguarded. So I think at least one of us should stay back with him. But yeah, I think, I'm fine if they both want to go and check out the ship and kind of do a, once over, and then they could signal to us and let us know if anything, if they need any extra help. That sounds good to me.
Okay.
I would think, I don't know if this is how you play, but I would think that It would probably be fine if you just put Dex's helmet on, and then he's
Oh, you have a
airtight,
vac
so you
suit.
just float over. And if you
Just
don't if
drift
you
him
don't take
across the
too long
surface.
to get him over to the other side, I think he would be okay.
I
Well,
mean, yeah,
at the very
I'm sorry.
least, let's first send Cleon just to swim to see if there's sea monsters.
I'll be the bait.
You can float Dex out to see if there's sea monsters.
Okay.
I doubt a lake this small could support any very large, dangerous creatures, but I guess you never know.
All right, fine. 1,000,000 little space piranhas.
We are gonna have to figure out some way to make something float because we got to get these flight cases across too, and they're heavy.
All right. Yeah. Is that okay with you, Books? That two people go across and then kind of see from there.
Yeah, that sounds
Okay.
good. I was actually just wondering, do we know if there's anything like a raft on the ship? Like, would that be something that could be possibly contained like inside?
Yeah, actually, you would know that inside of the ship there should be a utility air raft. So not only is it a raft, but it is a hover car that should be actually bolted on the inside that could be used in the case of emergencies.
Unless the last people who were here and abandoned this used it already.
True. But
Although I
that's
imagine
good
we might
to
see it
know.
like on the shore somewhere, but let's cross our fingers.
So
Yeah, because we could always use that to get Dex over if we need to.
yeah. So Cleon and Perseus, you all are able to swim. You realize that this is a salt lake. In fact, it's so dense that you could almost just, even in your, I think everyone's wearing a vac suit. I think so. Yeah, everybody's wearing their vac suits. Even in your vac suit, which is not ideal to swim in, you could almost flip up and just sit and float in this water from how dense it is. It makes for not easy swimming. You make it across, and you're also covered in this slimy silt that just slides off of you. And it's hard to, with especially your vac suit covered in this, to pull your soggy self up off on the bank. But nothing seems to happen when you cross, and you're only a few feet away now from the high and dry. And when you get there, all of a sudden you hear.
Hate that sound.
I pull out my shark clubbing club.
Pull out the shark.
I'll pull out my net.
Just like one of those Star Trek scenes.
Yeah, we're gonna get attacked by a gorn.
And yeah, you hear like loud growls, and then like licking lips and coming from the dark entrance to the high and dry.
What else am I carrying? Let's see. I got my cudgel in one hand and my knife in the other hand. Does it sound like... Sorry, what?
I was going to give you some more details also. As you get closer to the ship, you can see that the hatches to the ship are closed except for the main side entrance, which is dark, and you hear the growling coming from it. There is trash everywhere, and opened containers, and just junk all over the place. Yeah, that's what you can see from here.
Okay. Does it sound like the... does the growling sound like the sounds that those... What are those dog-type aliens? The
Varger.
Varger. Does it sound like something they would make, or does it sound more like a wild animal?
It sounds like a dog growling.
I would hate if it's a person and we have to like talk our way through this. Like there's a homeless person squatting in there.
I just shout, "Hey, you in there! Get out here!"
All right. What's your social? Whoa! It's really high, right? 10, 11?
And
It's an A. That's what I've written.
You see, rolled a really high reaction roll. You see Just a. Let me see if I have a picture of it. You see clearly what's a canine with stringy legs and scruffy fur. It's a bit tall and long and foxish looking for a canine. Many of you maybe have seen canines, but nothing so Earth-like, like nothing from Soul. And it just like warily like comes closer to you because you commanded it to do so, and it just like it's growling, and it'll lick its lips every so often. It gets closer, and it's clear that this thing is starving. And it hasn't eaten in a long time.
All right. Do we have rations or something to feed it?
I have some. I have 9 rations.
Same.
Yeah, I'll break off a little bit of one of my rations and just sort of like tantalize it, trying to get to come forward out of the ship.
It warily comes forward and it like sniffs a little bit, and then growls and goes back a little bit, and then kind of goes to the side. Are you trying to feed it, or are you trying to lure it out, or what's
I'm trying to lure it out. So I'll kind of move away from the ship, and then I'll put some on the ground, like a good, I don't know, like 30 meters from the ship, like maybe like near the shore. And then I'll just sort of like, and I'll back like far away to see if I can lure it out away from the ship. Then I'll kind of like slip around behind it and into the ship.
Okay. Yeah, you do that. You kind of set that out. It goes to the first one, greedily grabs it, runs around the corner, tears it up, almost, just inhales it, comes around, comes to the next one, is a little more bold this time. You come around to the ship. You're able to make it to the entrance of the ship. However, this canine now has stopped growling and is just kind of whining, and then just kind of like warily hanging around behind you about 10, 15 meters. Meanwhile...
Is it possible to... Sorry, go ahead.
Well, I'll also
I was going to say, can I close the door of the ship?
Yeah.
See ya.
Yeah, and...
With my friend inside.
Yeah, you could do that. I'll also kind of tell you what you see actually in the ship as you look inside. As you hit the door, the smell strikes you. And one of the smells, there's interesting smells you've discovered. There are several. One of the smells you recognize, and it is body odor. And because you've been a traveler now for, and I got the years wrong, so you've been a traveler for about 3.5 years or something like that. And you know that these small detached duty vessels, anything smaller than a free trader, have to be serviced regularly from cramped quarters. And if they don't, if crews don't invest in that, their body odor will start to fill up in the filters, and the whole place will start to smell like BO really bad. And I'm not making that up. That's in the book. Serious. So that's one thing that you smell, and it's horrid. It also smells like feces, and like a dog has been in here, and it smells like wet dog and feces. And the place inside is an absolute mess. There's places that have been pulled off from the ceiling and opened up. There's wires just hanging out in places. There's paneling on the floor, and there's just junk everywhere on the inside. Open access panels, trims destroyed, covers off of things, and you click the panel, tick, 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 and the power off batteries, the auxiliary power batteries, are drained. So, no, sorry, actually, you cannot close the door. Sorry, those are all the details of what's going on. But the dog is no longer growling, also.
I don't mind the dog hanging around as long as it doesn't seem like a threat. Plan, you didn't happen to spend any time as a janitor in the service, did you?
No, not really. I mean, does the dog look like does it look like a wild animal? Does it look like it's been domesticated at all?
It definitely looks wild, but it doesn't act feral. It acts very interested in you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe this was someone's pet.
Maybe it was a pet on board this ship.
Let's see here. Meanwhile, you see all this stuff. I mean, would you yell back or back on the other side of the shore? Jackson and Books there with the flight cases and decks. You can see that you can see all this happen, but it is like 500 meters away, so it's like you can see them. They're that big.
Looks like we found a puppy.
I'm fighting all my new school instincts to ask the game master if I could have it as a pet.
I think I would make a joke about that dog actually being one of the members of the ship, and like it's like a werewolf or something. But I think the joke probably wouldn't land very well. So
You live in a universe with Varger. It's just
yeah, I think we're just kind of watching in anticipation, hoping that they could get everything started, and also taking stock of our surroundings. But it doesn't seem like there's a lot going on this side of the shore.
Okay. An hour has passed. It's now 07 local time. Meanwhile, back at the ship, let's see here. I don't know. Where did I put? Oh, here it is. Back at the ship, what are you guys doing? The dog is just like testing. It'll come up. It'll come a little closer, and then if you turn and look at it, it'll suddenly run off while it looks at you, and then it'll stay away for a while, and then it'll get a little closer, and it just keeps doing that.
Okay. Doesn't seem dangerous. Would I know where there would be weapons on the ship?
Yeah, it'd be in the ship's weapons locker. Let me move you over to the ship. So let's see here. I will just kind of like represent where you guys are, but that doesn't. So like Jackson. Whoops, move Jackson over here. Perseus is with you all. Books is back here, and Dex. And you all are able to come through the. Excuse me. It's through this side walk here. Come in. Why is it not? Weird. So you all come in here. And let's see, where is the ship's locker? Ship's locker will be in the back of the ship from there. So you go through the ship. This isn't going to be like a dungeon. It's not that
all right, marching formation. Let's go.
Yeah.
We can only move 120 feet in a span of 10 minutes.
You make it to the center part of the ship back here, and this is one of those vertical things that go down. You can go check down this other level, and you open the door, and you can see the doors are just left open in places. The auxiliary power's off, and everything has been ripped out of this room. What else do you want to check? Everything's been torn out of the ship's locker. There's no weapons or anything.
I guess priority one is we want to get life support up and running.
Yeah.
All right. How long are you guys going to wait? It's probably been 10, 20, 30 minutes. You see
Do you think we can invite the rest of the party to just come on over with us?
Yeah. My plan was to get a weapon and then just do like a room-by-room sweep of the ship to make sure that we're alone.
Okay.
But it sure seems that way if everything's just like ripped out.
You can take... It will take you 10 minutes to check just quickly go through the ship and check. You'd be using your harpoon, though, it seems.
Yeah, that's fine.
I'll stick with my net.
All right. So I'm just going to I'm not going to move tokens around and stuff. Actually, I will. I'm going to drag you in. I'm going to move this around. So let's start from area to area. You go to the sensors and avionics bay, and it's actually in good shape, and that's the good news. So it doesn't look like you actually have any systems damage. That's important. You go to the bridge, and the same is true, except a lot of the paneling has been taken off. That's good news because you already have paneling and a new operating system and new avionics and stuff to install. You go to the captain's kind of chair and the bridge office, and you know the auxiliary power's off, so you're going to have to install startup batteries first, which you have in your flight case. The startup batteries will connect to an auxiliary power, which will connect to the fusion drive. The auxiliary power will come up, and then you'll have life support and doors and stuff like that where you can do all of your systems checks. So you know you need to do that, and then you go to the bathrooms, and I regret to inform you that not only are they terrible and backed up, but overflowing, and it has its own little ecosystem of fine bugs and things who have managed to survive at a high altitude. They found a home here.
Life finds a way.
Exactly. The staterooms are in absolute disrepair and disorder. Everything's been ripped out. There's nothing of value or use in here. It looks like the previous crew literally went through like you are now and went from thing to thing, tearing out anything that could possibly be valuable and not bolted down. But you could still use the staterooms to sleep and travel in. You check the fuel systems, and the good news is the integral systems of the ship seem to be okay. The downside is that you know that it's been sitting here for a month, especially at 20,000 feet in an atmosphere that's tainted, that's full of sand and things like that. This is hell on a machine, and the fact that it hasn't been started up, a lot of these systems have just been sitting dormant and could be full of this tainted atmosphere's goop. Let's see here, 7, 8. This is like a wreck area. It is disgusting and ruined. This room actually doesn't have anything in it. Whatever was here was ripped out. And this is interesting. So you go to the air raft docking space, and in a scout courier, it would be kind of either bolted down here or up against a wall, and you could activate it and use it to explore a planet, or you could use it in an emergency. Air rafts can even achieve like hypothetically low orbit. It's a grav technology, so even though it would be very slow, you can go very high in an air raft, and yes, of course, it is gone. Let's see here. The same could be said for the power drives, maneuver, jump drive. That they're not damaged, but they've been sitting here for a month, and that's really bad. Really bad. Those are the systems and everything that you see. You know that there's at least several things you're going to have to do without even looking at the repair manuals. You're going to have to replace all the operating system. Well, first of all, you're going to have to apply backup batteries, but that won't require a check. Just take the backup batteries, you put it into the electrical system near where avionics and bridge is, and that'll give you power. Now all of a sudden you're able to actually use the ship, operate the life support and the doors and stuff. So here are 5 things you can tell that you need to do. You need to completely pull out the panels, replace wiring, electronics, just like the guy said, your patron, on the bridge. You're going to have to also do that across the ship with any electronic components that have what's the word I'm looking for? Become corrupted. I can't think of the term, but anyways, your ship's diagnostic systems will tell you that. It'll be like, hey, this system isn't working, and it'll probably be because it's corroded. And then you're going to need to do that for the power systems and the drive systems. And then lastly, unfortunately, if this place is so nasty, it's possible that it could compromise the life support. Filters, oxygen generators, they could actually be clogged with these people's nasty hedonism. that they've inflicted upon this poor ship. So those are 5 things that need to kind of get done before the ship will actually fly with any reasonable amount of safety.
All right, well, we gotta wake Dex up so he can pull his weight. There's 5 of us.
Yeah, I should get everyone over here. We'll get the life support system, so we'll have oxygen at least, and then start making repairs as much as we can.
All right. What do you all? You just holler and say, "Hey, get him over here."
Coast is clear. There are no reavers.
At this point, the dog is just kind of whining and panting and sitting.
Yeah, I've tried that tactic myself, buddy.
Yeah, exactly. All right. So meanwhile, on the other shore, with Dex and Jackson and Books, what do you guys do?
So I think we see their signal, and we pack up, and we get over there. If it's buoyant, like I believe you said it was earlier, then we can kind of just float Dex over.
It turns out that the legs are more buoyant than the top, so like there's legs coming out of the water as you're dragging him over.
You set
Like,
up you set up a safety line, and somebody goes over and somebody behind, and then you just pull Dex, and you just have like the bottom half that's floating and sticking out of the water, and put his helmet on probably, so
We're making him be the janitor, right, when he wakes up.
I will say the flight cases because they're I already regret about to use this term, military grade. They're designed for hard vacuum, so you could even drag them on the bottom of the water, and hypothetically the contents should not be compromised. It should be airtight. So it takes a while.
It's good to know.
I'll say that this takes another hour. Okay. I need to make this a D3 because that doesn't work anyway.
And I figure our goal should be to get the ship just operational enough that we can get it back to the town, where we can do more extensive repairs.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, you hear you hear a bunch of or you hear the dog as you make it across. Suddenly you can see that you hear the dog, see the dog again, and it's growling again. You look over and it's barking and snapping at something, and a lot of those little critters are on the ground and they're scurrying about, and they have something, they're trying to drag it, and then the dog is like fighting with them, snapping at them to leave it alone. It has some kind of plastic object.
I'll investigate that.
Well, I'm gonna let the people coming over do that since you guys are in the ship.
Gotcha.
If that's okay.
Makes sense.
If you want.
Yeah,
and you don't have
I
to,
think-
of course.
I think we would definitely want to investigate that. I think, I would take out a ration to kind of trade it with the dog, throw it over away from the thing that it has in its mouth, and see if it leaves it.
Okay. And it actually, it's just trying to pull it away from these little critters. As soon as you all approach, however, the critters scatter again like roaches. And they leave, and if you throw the ration to the dog, it basically inhales it again and pants, and at this point it just happily comes up to you. Gives you a dog hug, leans against you. Thank you for saving my life. And the plastic object is clearly a bowl that's been gnawed on.
The dog bowl.
Yeah, it has writing on it. Let me see here.
feel like I got to adopt this dog, you guys.
It's a plastic dog bowl. It's been chewed on, mostly destroyed, and it has etched on it Kimberly.
Kimberly?
Kimberly.
Okay. Interesting. Could we investigate in the area where that, where this came from? So could we investigate more of the island just to see if there's anything else that maybe got dragged over there?
Yeah. Let me actually change.
Somebody might want to take my helmet off before I suffocate.
Oh, that's a good point, actually.
Yeah, I'll jump on that.
You actually awaken too. Finally, when they pop the helmet off, you're able to breathe. They almost kill you, but make it across, and you're conscious now with half of your dex. Your dex was what, 3?
2.
2? It's 1 now. It's 1. You're very fragile now. But you're otherwise fine. If that could be called fine. And yeah, okay, so you guys spend some time checking the area. Meanwhile, you all that are still on the ship, what do you do if they start doing that?
So the life support is up and running now?
No, you would have to go and try to...
Do the bridge wiring and electrical.
Yeah, in no particular order, but you could do that first. You could get the life support up. You would need to take the battery from the flight case. So they brought the flight cases across. If you open them up, they are airtight, and they have all sorts of gear. It has that ozone smell to it of a new clean electronics. This is the most clean thing that you've smelled in 12 hours as well. You're very sweaty and nasty inside your vac suit currently, and covered in nasty silt, and this place smells like urine and dog feces and body odor and everything. And you take the large battery, and you're able to replace where the direct battery is in the avionics bay in the very front, and that gives you like some systems come online. And with that, you can actually have it activate the connect to the fusion drive for a small initial auxiliary power from the fusion drive if you want.
Yeah.
Very well. The system comes online, and clean, pure O2 starts coming out of the generators. I shouldn't say clean, pure O2. It is. So unlike our current kind of means and options for generating oxygen, this is actual oxygen. I don't know how it does it, but probably the same thing the fuel processors do, where it just brings the molecules together and then filters it. And so you start getting pure air, but it is tainted. The filters are disgusting. Every whiff in your nostrils smells like somebody just farting in your face. It is absolutely miserable in this ship right now. But you can breathe, and you can also close and open doors, and you can also interface with and activate control panels.
Okay. Well, now that we're not going to die of hypoxia, I start checking to see if I can find replacement filters, if they kept any of those in the ship.
All right, so that would be like the fifth thing. So this is going to be you like running around the ship, trying to pull things out, trying to get the filters working, finding the backup filters. Roll. You got to meet a endurance check at 6+. What is your endurance?
My endurance is 6.
6. All right. In that case, it will be an endurance 6+, and this will take 2D hours, and we'll see how it goes.
Could I help with that? Because that's also my main priority. I don't like farts.
Sure. Yeah, you could help with that. I'll reduce it by 1D hours. And you can both make the check and see if you do it.
I have a 12 in endurance. Do I have a lower difficulty?
Oh, heck yeah. You can do it at a 3+. So all you got to do is just not
get snake eyes.
Yeah.
I succeed.
I succeeded.
Awesome. So 1D hours. So basically you guys become completely occupied with this. This takes 5 hours. So one, and this is now 08 plus 5 is 1300 local time by the time you finish this. But the good news is, kind of skipping ahead to the result that you get. Number one, the ship is clean, believe it or not. At least clean enough to use. The body odor smell is not going to go away unless you get maintenance for it. It's like 1,500 credits or something, and it's something you regularly have to do with scout vessels and small vessels. But you can breathe the air without getting sick, and the life support works, and the ship is usable, and you're not going to have like flying object debris fly off and hit you as you're trying to do something. You've done all the basic safety measures that you need to do. This takes 5 hours of intense, hard labor that you all do to make this happen. But you're confident that it works. All right, panning over to everybody else. You spend an hour... Ooh, gotta check. Let's see. 4, 2... and the only thing that you find are a burrow of... well, you find two things, actually. You find a burrow of 6 of these little critters. They seem to thrive here at high altitudes and try to survive off of the rugged bushes here in the caldera. It seems like maybe there's a lot more of them here near this water and near the bushes and stuff. So you find a bunch of 6 of those, and then you also find another rock entrance, like a cave entrance, like a crevice. And this is actually on the island. It's like just a rocky crevice, but you can probably get down in it if you wanted to go down in and explore it. You could also cover it. It's about man-sized, as it were.
That's tough. I say we come back to this. I think we should go help with getting the ship prepped, and then as a group we could decide if we want to take a detour to check out this small cave on the island.
Agreed.
I'm going to go look to see if I can find coffee.
Most unfortunately, you go into the common area in the back, and they absolutely do not have coffee. They don't.
That's the first thing they took.
Oh,
Yeah, that's the first thing that they took out of here. Yeah, so...
Dex is just like, he's demoralized because there's no coffee.
Oh, you're demoralized after your nap? I'm sorry.
Well, he's like, he felt like he got run over by a semi, and so that's the only thing he wanted was coffee, but there's no coffee.
Maybe you should take another hour to do your warm-up yoga then before you help.
That is demoralizing to wake up and not have coffee.
He's looking for pepper to see if he can eat pepper or something because he needs to wake up. But it's not gonna happen.
You find a tiny jar of hot sauce that's out of date by about a year.
He's afraid of the hot
and then
sauce.
Some pepper, and yeah.
Well, with the bathrooms being the way they are, he's not going to eat the hot sauce.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not a chance.
Don't eat the fish, yeah. All right, so let's see here. What do you guys do then? So that took an hour just to look around. You find the little Walstons and you find the hole in the ground, and that's it. You don't find anything else of interest on the island. Books.
So I think at this point then we're going to come back to the cave. But I think we should go and help everyone else out with getting the ship ready to go.
All right. So there's 4 other tasks that you know that you would need to complete. You need to use the flight cases to repair, like I said, paneling, operating systems, wiring for the bridge, flight controls and nav, the electronic systems that show up from the diagnostics that show up on the ship as being having a fault, the powers and drive systems. As soon as you have the power system up, you can start running tests. The drive system is what you need you'll also need to run tests on the drive, and that's what's going to actually give you gravity power. And you're going to be able to change and alter and manipulate gravity and get the ship up and flying. And then, of course, you have to be able to actually control the ship. And then you need to not have faults in the electronic wiring. So those are the 4 tasks.
You know, all of this together is giving me doubts about us getting our own ship at some point, you know? Like, it's nice to have friends who own a yacht, but you don't want to own a yacht.
Yeah. Riding in a Corvette's fun, but I don't want to pay the insurance on it.
Well, Dex is kind of a he's kind of a he's got a lot of go-to-itness, so he's gonna go and help wherever he can help with getting the most essential systems ready, and from, I guess, we need to get the control and the drive, and so he's going to help with those things.
All right, so let's do drive systems. You'll need to roll a 8+ engineering, and this takes 1d plus 2 hours per.
I got a 12.
You got a 12. Oh, nice. Since you got a 12, I'll actually reduce it. I'll make it a D3. Or I'm sorry, D3 plus 2 hours. So you're able to do it in 3 plus 2 is 8 hours. Which brings you... So let's see here. This is life support and cleaning. Dex gets to work, and he gets in drive systems up and running perfectly. Basically 3 hours later, so he's still working after you all got done with the life support. Meanwhile, what's Books doing?
So what are the other tasks left?
You have the power system, shipboard electronics, diagnostics, and the bridge, flight control, and nav.
I think I'll work at the power system.
All right, that will also be a 2d6 to meet 8 on an engineering check, and this will take D plus 2 hours. 4. Okay, so you didn't pass the check. Some time passes. This takes 6 plus 2 is 8 hours, so I'll put failed power systems. I'm going to get back to you on that. Meanwhile, let me go over to Jackson. Jackson, are you going to try to do the power or flight controls or nav?
Yeah, I'll go for the flight controls.
Flight controls. All right, for that, you would also do in 2d6 engineering 8+. And that also takes D plus 2 hours.
Damn, got a 6.
6. All right, so the... so power systems and flight controls. Actually, you might get a better timing by the time you come to that. No, you get the same. So it takes 8 hours, and you both failed to do the power systems and flight controls. Now you guys are working on that. Let's see. Lastly, Dex did good. Perseus, Cleon. So they're all working on this stuff. Perseus and Cleon, you finish yours after 6 hours, and it works well. Do you want to try to work on diagnostics for the ship, or do you want to actually chip in with one of the others to see if you can help them out, as it looks like they're starting to struggle?
Those who are struggling, I'll help. If nothing else, I gotta watch them do their tasks to make sure no one's an imposter.
All right. Now you'll ride on from the moment that you start working on, from the moment you finish. So let's see. Do you help Books or Jackson?
I'll help Books.
All right. You'll also need to roll a 2d6 to get an 8 on engineering. And if you guys have engineering 2 or something, if I say a skill and you have something exceptional on it, let me know,
I got a 5.
5. All right. So basically the same thing happens, and I actually have a timeline here of what's going on.
I'm picturing the classic clueless dad is struggling in his garage, and then the neighboring dads come out to take a look, and they're just as clueless, but they want to participate.
Nice. Interestingly, I'm not making this up. You actually arrive at the same conclusion that you're struggling to get the flight controls working at the same time he is. So lastly, we have Cleon. Do you want to try to help? You can help anybody, or you can try one of the other systems, or do something else, whatever you want to do.
I'll help with the power.
The power. Okay, so that was power systems were done by books. Rolled 2d6.
And I add one because I have one engineering.
No. This is so. This is I gave everybody engineering so you could do stuff like this. You know. But if somebody had engineering 2 or, you know.
I rolled 2.
Oh no. Does it make it worse, I wonder?
Like, somebody seems to have jammed something in here, and meanwhile Cleon's looking around the ship.
Rip some wires out.
Ripping things out, yeah.
Let's see. So 6 hours. I think what happens is the drive system gets pushed forward 6 hours. So that brings you to 0 minus 5 is T. Let's see. This is 25 drive systems. Okay, so here we are. You know, you all have been working now for a long time. By the way, you're also exhausted. Everybody loses 1 endurance because you have not slept in more than 24 hours.
Oh my god. Can we at least stop to eat?
We should all sleep. Like, we have air. We're not going to die. We can sleep and have a meal and try and recoup.
All right.
And have at this again.
All right.
Before we go to dinner, Dex is just going to check to see if there is any ship's guns, armament on the ship that's working.
Yeah. Yeah. Cleon. But you wouldn't know this, but earlier Cleon and Perseus, they tried to do that. You go back to the ship's locker, and even on the way to the ship's locker, you notice this place has been torn apart, like anything that's useful. And then you see the ship's locker, where you would keep guns and armor and stuff, and everything's been taken out of it. Anything of value, even the locks have been ripped off.
So there's no like ship-to-ship guns on the boat.
My bad. You're talking. I'm sorry. And that's what you said. I'm sorry. I didn't listen carefully enough. Yeah, you're saying the ship's guns, and that's a good question. I can't remember off the top of my head if this one has guns. It probably should have a single laser turret.
Because he's gunnery too, so he's checking it out to make sure.
Nice.
Because he doesn't want like, you know, I don't know, pirates to come up whenever when they're in the middle of dinner. He just thinks that that's important to take care of.
Yeah, I must have, and I'm not going to search for it, but I must have seen it or decided that that's what. Actually, I have it right here. In fact, I can very quickly give you your traveler ship information that you have on this. And I'll also give you control of the ship. Literally, like the actual token. Let's see. Alex is owner, Ben is owner, Andrew is owner, Sage is owner. Let's see, and then I'm going to also make myself the owner. Bam. Okay, so now you should also be able to go to Traveler Ships in the top right, and you have a separate character sheet that's literally like all the components. It'll tell you the, so it has an empty hardpoint. That's unfortunate. Let me see, hardpoint 1. It looks like it does not have a weapon on it.
Okay.
It has no cargo. It has 4 staterooms, an empty hardpoint so you could add a gun, bridge, computer, model 1 with the basic information systems for 4 software. It can do a jump 2, thrust 2, 40 fuel. The air raft is gone, actually. It says it's in there. I'm going to get rid of that. Yeah, that sucks. But that's the case. Yeah, that's what you got there. I don't know if you are able to see that.
So Dex goes and he sees that there's no gun, and he's just muttering to himself about how these idiots can
coffee,
fly around without
no
any
gun.
defense, no gun, yeah, no coffee, no anything, you know. But he goes down and then has some dinner before he falls asleep on the floor.
All right. How long do you all rest? You'll need to rest 8 hours to get your endurance back and to not suffer any penalties to your endurance.
If I just don't set an alarm, how long will I naturally sleep for? Like, I might accidentally oversleep.
Right. Yeah. So you probably do 8 hours, right? Because you don't want to. Okay. Let's see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So from the time
Yeah.
the last work is done to the last crew member wakes up, that's 8 hours.
Or whenever the volcano erupts, you know, whichever comes first.
Minus 4 is 16. Okay. So
If we die in this volcano, it's because of a decision we've already made.
Interestingly, this puts you on the backside of the clock, which doesn't matter. It's miserable in real life, but this sort of thing happens, especially when you work in space. They probably have figured this out better than we have. So let's see. Plus 8 hours brings you to 20. That's not right. 26 or 2 in the morning, 01 local time.
How many hours is a day on this planet?
I'm just using standard Earth, but
Yeah.
this is more for your clock than it is for
Right.
sunrise and sunset. I'm not going to look it up, but that's a good point. It's probably not 24 hours. Yeah. So I'm just imagine like traveler clock, your internal clock. So 0100. You all wake up. It's dark outside. Systems are working great. You have plenty of auxiliary power from the fusion drive. It's not going to go. You're not going to like run out of fuel anytime soon. And it does have fuel, so that's good news. I'm not going to give it full fuel though. It's going to have, and I don't know off the top of my head, but I'm just going to say, whoops, I don't know why it did that. I'm going to say it's missing some tons of fuel. Okay. All right, so you all wake up. What do you do? Let me roll some checks.
What else? What is?
I asked
What is left
Dex
to
what
do?
he accomplished overnight while the rest of us were sleeping. Come on, man. You had your nap.
You wake up and did anyone close the door? I don't think so.
No, I don't think anybody did.
Please tell me this place isn't overrun with porgs.
We were
No-
really
no-
tired.
No one set a watch, and no one closed the door or anything. So, yeah, and you all are very tired. So you pass out probably, and you wake up and you're covered. You're covered in Walstons, and they've eaten your food. They've eaten half your food, whatever your.
sorry,
food
is that
was.
what they're
Oh, the little
called?
buggy things, the little creatures that are on Luke Skywalker's island.
Yeah, the porgs. That's what he's saying
Yeah.
porgs for, yeah. These look like, this is, I showed it before, but this is...
They look
this
like Moadib from Dune.
This is what it looks like from the book. This is what the book has in it.
It looks scared. It's like, no!
Yeah. Always nervous. But they've eaten half your food, so you can mark off whatever half your rations is rounded up.
How much rations did we get? Because we bought them at the store, right? Or where did we get those at?
I started this session with 9. I seem to recall us maybe burning through one last session, so it probably stands to reason we all got 10 maybe.
Yeah, I didn't write that down. So half our rations. So like we have 4 now.
Well, we used one last night as well. So yeah, we should have 4 left.
All right.
Yep.
What
We're
do you
gonna
do?
eat these critters. Like, that's the only
You could eat
fair.
'em. Yeah, you don't like...
I have a
capture 'em?
net.
Yeah, so someone close the door and then try and herd them all into a room and lock it, and then we can just pick them off.
All right. There's
I mean, it's not sporting, but they were the ones who got us in our sleep, so.
I said there were 5 tasks. There are now 6, and one of them is Walston Hunter. To try to figure out where they all are on the ship now. If you choose to, you can also just leave them. But if you want to try to find them, somebody's going to have to try to find the Walstons.
We'll have to
Oh,
lure them
well-
out with food.
There's a question though. Are they like tribbles? That's the question. If they're
Oh,
not like
that'd be
tribbles,
awful.
we can just leave them. But if they're like tribbles, we want to make sure where they get rid of them.
Or worse, gremlins.
But I guess we don't know if they're like tribbles. So
All right, I'll toss the ball back over to Books. You guys can keep repairing. You can go. You can explore. You could take some time and do something other than any of that. What do you do?
I think we need to keep repairing. So I think we should divide and get finished everything that we could, including having somebody try to get these things off the ship. I'll volunteer for that, actually.
The Walston duty?
Yeah, I'll volunteer for the Walston duty, and then if the rest of us could just figure out, I know we still have the power system, and something else, so if we could split that up, get those working, and then take it from there.
Okay,
Have we
so
still not figured out that drive navigation thing?
yeah,
we all
so far,
failed.
power systems, flight controls, and drive systems. I forgot to mention the options, but you guys wanted to sleep. But if it fails, you can attempt to redo it, or you can try to rush it and just do the minimum, try to make sure it works. Just so you know that that's an option. It takes 6 minutes to rush it to completion and complete the checks, make sure the checks just work, and then get it going. Or you can redo the task. Most of these tasks take the same amount of time to redo as they did initially.
If we rush it, could we? If we rush it and we fail, could we redo the task again, like right after?
Well, I mean, you can redo it anytime you want. It's absolutely. It's not something you have to decide right away.
So, I got lost. What happened with my success in was it the drive?
I'm sorry. I thought, yeah, you did. You passed the drive system, so you completed the drive systems from the time. Let's see, from the time you all came on the ship. It took about, I can't remember here. I have the timeline, like 5-6 hours or whatever, and that is finished. The drive systems are good to go.
Okay, we'll work on the flight. Or flight.
Who worked on it last time? Flight control systems.
I didn't.
I did.
Okay.
Maybe there was a mix-up.
If you guys want to all do that again, you can do that. It's 2d6.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll take a shot in.
I'll say that reduces it down to just 1d3 plus 1 hours is how long it'll take.
We've got 7.
7?
I also got a 7.
7 fails. What'd you get, Ben?
I got a 10.
A 10 passes. Okay, so great. So that passes, and then that takes 3 plus 1 is 4 hours. So, okay, flight control systems are complete in 6 hours from that time. Flight controls, that is complete. 3 people did that. Meanwhile, what is Dex? Dex. Perseus. What is Perseus doing?
I understand we need to replace some wiring and electronics on some corroded systems.
Yeah, run down the diagnostics to see what systems might be failing, replace those wires, and do local checks as they come up. So that's also an engineering 8+.
Gotcha. I'll try it. I got a 10.
10. All right, you're able to do that. It takes D plus 2 hours. 1 plus 2, you're even able to get it done in 3 hours time. And that is the electronics. It's complete. Meanwhile, the Walston Hunter books. I'm going to say that this takes D3 plus 1 hours to complete, and it's an endurance check at 5 plus. What's your endurance?
9.
9. Okay, well, with a 9, I'll say it's even a 4 plus. So you'd have to roll pretty bad. 2d6 to get 4 or better. Nice. All right, so you're able to track them down. It takes D3 plus 1. Okay, 3 plus 1 is 4. So you chase them around the ship, and how do you do it actually? How do you corner them and hunt down all the Walstons, and what do you do with them?
So I use one of my rations, and I throw it outside of the ship, and then I open all the doors, and I find the closest thing to a broom, like some kind of metallic piece of of something that was covering the wiring, and I just kind of swish them out.
Yeah, for a broom,
just
it's
follow them around,
easy.
swish them out.
There's pieces of trim, like any kind of machine like this, you'll have just paneling and trim that just covers stuff, and it's just hanging off the walls anyways, like it's probably a flight hazard. So you're like, you know what, and you just rip a piece of trim off the side of the wall and use it as a broom and beat them out, smack them away, and they scatter outside the ship and shut the door, and the ship is free of Walstons, and you're certain of it.
Bex finds one and he feels bad for it, so he wants to keep one.
Oh,
so he
boy.
hides it in the microwave.
Oh, Alex keeps Walston.
And he
So
makes
not
sure to
connected by
unplug
this.
the microwave so
microwave.
somebody doesn't turn it on.
This isn't D&D, so I can't make your alignment chaotic. But it is, for whatever that's worth. Let's see here. There's one check left, I think. I've got flight controls, electronics complete, Walston's complete, drive systems complete, power systems failed. So I have... I'm going to start... Who is it that completed electronics? I apologize. I'm trying to track...
Was that the wiring that I did?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so you finish first. The only other task that people aren't working on is the power system, if you want to try to complete that.
All right. Let's give it the old college try.
Meanwhile, I'm going to do some checks on my end.
Should I roll?
3. Okay. Yeah, absolutely.
All right. I got exactly 7.
7 fails. You find dead Walstons inside some of the hydraulic lines. And so now you're pulling out stinky dead Walstons.
Inside the hydraulic lines?
Yeah, they made it inside of the modules. They tore through some of the lines. It's going to take longer unless you try to rush this. Let's see how long.
Well, there must be hydraulic
Ooh,
fluid
got it.
everywhere.
Yeah, but for a poorly maintained scout vessel, hydraulic fluid and leaks just means it works. So there is that.
I'm thinking about rushing it. Can't hurt to just rush one task, right?
Well, before you do that, so I've got you working on the drive systems, and we get to completing the Walstons, the electronics. I'm sorry, the Walstons, the flight controls. Everybody was working on those things. And you get to getting the flight controls complete, and while you're trying to clean out all the dead, gooey Walstons from the hydraulic lines and modules, all of a sudden you feel the entire ship just go... And that's all.
Time to start rushing things.
That's all.
The Walston.
We need to get airborne right now.
All right. Are there windows? Is any one of us close to just take a gander at what we're dealing with?
Well, it just You see dust kicked up outside, but you also hear something. Let's see here. You hear this. It's weird it won't let me do both. Let me see if I can fix this. Edit. What? Okay. Soundboard. That's why it won't let me do it. Starship is working, and then you have that.
Told you guys about sea monsters.
All right. You hear an alarm coming from the bridge. I guess somebody's actually on the bridge. All the people working in the flight control section. You finish it. It finishes the diagnostics. The systems come fully alive on auxiliary power. It's completing its built-in test. You see everything going green. You're like, oh man, everything's green. And all of a sudden then warnings come up as the sensors come online.
Do we have the capability to get airborne?
You could do that if you either want to rush the drive. If you rush the drives.
Let's all rush the drives.
Yep.
Agreed.
Yeah, I say we rush the drives.
Everybody pulls out their duct tape.
Are we assuming that the alarm is going off because of the presumed volcanic behavior, or is the alarm maybe going off for some other reason?
You could go. So I'll tell you what the alarm means in terms of its signal. It's alerting you to something as a master caution. So it's saying, hey, something really bad is happening. That could be anything, but you could go look at it.
Okay, yeah, we go look at the alarm.
All right, you go over to the system where there's I'm actually going to say that you could have jump seats here, navigator, pilot, and captain seat. Maybe you go look at the captain seat for the master caution. You look at it, and it's indicating the system sensors, and it's indicating that the landing area is no longer stable, and that that the sensors are indicating. Well, let me read it here. It says readings are fluctuating wildly. It looks like they were about to actually do the job, and the sensors were left online, and it's just started back where it was, and the sensors are scanning the volcano, and you just have these wild fluctuations that are happening right now.
So I go help with the guy with getting it off the ground.
Okay, so there's two options. One, if you're rushing it, then anybody can do it. It just takes a flat 6 minutes, and it just works. The other option is everybody could try to work on it, but it could take up to D3 plus 1 hours. Get it?
We want to get this thing in minutes instead of hours.
Yeah.
6 minutes.
Yeah, let's
Very
rush
well.
it.
Okay.
I take out my bubble gum, put it on a loose panel.
Somebody said that they look outside to see what's happening. You do see Walstons scurrying everywhere.
No sea monsters.
No sea
I'm not
monsters.
validated on that. All right.
The Walston in the microwave is just freaking out.
How's our pooch?
Is this your backup
Yeah.
character now? Is these?
I need one because I might be unconscious a lot.
Okay, so let's see. You rush the drive system to get it up online and working, and with the drive system online and the power systems activated. Let's see. The power systems. Wait, no. The power systems are the problem, right?
Oh, we got the power on already.
Well, you have auxiliary power, but you don't have the like fusion, the actual fusion plant. So you don't have there's the J drive and the M drive, and then you have like the actual fusion plant, the power plant. So anyways, that's the problem. So probably everything comes online right at that point. So I'm going to put power plant rushed. Okay, so here we are. Power plant's rushed. Now you need to complete your flight controls checks if you're going to get off into the air. You can rush this as well. You have the option. Typically what you would do at this point is if everything was working, you would do 1D hours worth of maintenance flight and test checks. I assume that you're just not going to do those.
Do we have any hotshot pilots in this group? Anybody with a pilot skill more than one?
Pilot 2, Pilot 3, no? Okay. And that wasn't completed, so you don't have to do that. All right. Let's see here. You immediately... So, let's see. Books is the captain. I'll kind of mention some of these things. In fact, I'll bring up the captain thing. If you've already read it, just tell me to hush. But there are some things that you would always do, and I created literally a captain checklist that you just always go through. Let me find this here real quick. We can look in Mythic. Where's that? Book 2. I'm just going to go directly to the checklist. Uh-oh. Guess I didn't get it finished on this one. Here we go. Everything's loaded. Obviously, you would make sure everything's closed. And then the other main thing is, like, if you're in a critical situation, I would suggest everyone be strapped into a seat. I will say everybody can fit in the cockpit. You would have one person on a jump seat, pilot, navigator, and ship's captain at the captain seat. So that's if everybody's on the bridge. You could also strap in somewhere else if you wanted to die alone, because some people might want to do that. And what was I going to say?
Next on the bridge.
Okay. Strap in and vac suit. So in critical situations, vac suits on. Oh, and your air is replenished because you have access to O2. Helmet on, pure O2. So those two things every time you're in a critical situation. That's what I would suggest, Brooks.
Yeah. That sounds good.
All right, who's the pilot?
I think we could all.
I'll
And
pilot. If no one else wants to volunteer, I think we're all the same.
Yeah, everybody's got the same skill on this, I think. And I'll actually drop you all in so I don't lose my place.
All that remains is the question of confidence.
All
Yeah,
right.
you don't want Dex driving the ship because he's really clumsy, so he would probably crash it.
All right.
He's a good bad pilot.
I could put
Does
Dex
piloting
in
rely on a certain attribute?
Not in this one. It's just just your skill. I might consider your dexterity, but probably not. I think everybody's pretty much on parity with one another. Pilot 1, but Dex. Yeah, I can put you in the gunner slot. Who's the engineer? Does anybody have engineering 2, mechanical, computer 1? Nothing like that. Okay, who wants to do it then?
All right, I'll do it.
All right, let's see. Perseus is ship engineer, and then ship's navigator. You would roll to see if you missed jump, to try to check the flight plan and plot the course for the jump transit.
I'll take that one since we're not jumping just yet.
All right. Let's see here. So Jackson, and I forgot we have 5, so I'm going to make it. New position is captain. And of
I'll
course,
do that one.
that is Books. I assume you want to cancel the alarm, probably.
Yes,
All
definitely.
right. So you turn off the alarm. It's like, yeah, I know. And this is weird. Is it only something you can type in, or does it let you? No, you have to type it in. So, but those will maybe change, so I won't do it right now. Books or captain. There you go. Okay, so I put him that way. I'll remember. You start to do all your pre-flight checks, Cleon. You start doing all your pre-flight checks. You see some things that it runs some spurious readings on the engine power fluctuates. The power systems are rooted. They're supposed to be symmetrical, and they're supposed to run equally on every part of the ship for each ship system. And you find that they are somewhat asymmetric, which indicates that the drive system health is poor. But you're like, oh, we can worry about that later, and you just like keep going. And just as you're about to lift off, it takes about six minutes to rush it. The system comes back, and it indicates an immediate severe emergency. From the sensors, because I'll say that you left the sensors on, it indicates that it's going to, within a few minutes, have a catastrophic effect, like possibly the mountain could crack. And you see lava plumes and smoke outside, if anybody looks outside.
Yep. I'm gonna get airborne and get out of this caldera now.
Okay, you're able to. You apply power. You increase the throttle, and you start to lift up. And for the first time in a very long time, you all are travelers again, and you're at the helm of a starship. Actually, let me give me this one. Whoa! There we go.
Now might not be the best time to ask this question, crew, but did we actually do that little side quest of completing the sensor readings of the volcano that this ship was originally meant to do?
No, we did not.
How long would that take? Want to just give it a good once over? Or, I mean, can we just go back and say, like, all you need to know is that
all of a sudden you get a reading.
I think
situational.
the
Kinda rough.
we should notify
it speaks
them,
for
yeah.
itself. Like,
Yeah, we have the log of the sensors that are on now, so we can give that to them. But we need to go and notify them so that they don't get blown up by the volcano.
I don't know if I just lost internet or what it did. Give me a second. It might be Ingrok. Come on, Ingrok. Come on. I may have to redo this.
I can hear you fine.
Yeah, I'm getting the music and everything.
I just got a message in Foundry that it lost connection.
I'm not getting music. That's a shame. I like music.
Okay, mine's starting to
Mine
come
said
back.
it disconnected, but then reconnected.
Okay. It just took mine a while to reconnect. I think it has something to do with Ingrok. Okay. I apologize. I maybe missed part of that. What were you saying, Matt? I think I missed what you were saying.
Oh, I was just saying that seeing as how the volcano is going to go off and may have catastrophic consequences for the nearby cities, we had better go and notify them first before we spend time trying to get more data. Because we can come back for data, but we can't come back to save the people down in what's the name of the place?
That doesn't matter.
Yeah, the Pompeii. We can't go back to save in the Pompeii. So we better go like let them know.
Are we certain it's gonna reach them?
Yeah.
No, we don't, but we have to let them know. I would think.
Yeah, and they might know better than us what this volcano is prone to do historically.
Yeah.
Two things happen as Cleon, as you get the ship into the air. About 10 minutes have passed as you come to a hover, and you ignite the drives, and you start entering into forward flight. And you can sense from the flight control systems, you can sense the pitch, roll, and yaw as finally the high and dry comes alive, and the stream of effective flow starts to come over the delta of the front of the ship and meet the airflow. And you're now flying. Let's see here. Something happens as you do that. About 10 minutes have passed, and you get two things happen. First of all, as you start to enter a curve, because you're going to need to have a sense that you can turn and that you can fly and stuff, so, just to gain control of the ship, you get a view far off as you come about of the area you were just in, and it's a good thing you did because that wow. I'm going to show you all this later. This timeline. Anyways, the crater is filled with lava. It says lava fills the crater, and then the other thing is you get an up. So I have that the sensors are still on, and the sensors indicate now they kind of cage, and they give you a reading. They indicate now that you'll have a catastrophe in less than an hour, and it updates. It's not sure yet, and it's still trying to figure it out, but it doesn't think that it's going to happen in 6 minutes anymore. Sorry.
All right,
Now
I'm still gonna fly out of here to the nearest city, and land at the nearest city, and on the way just radio them and let them know what's going on.
All right. So you start flying toward the nearest city, and all of a sudden you hear this again. I apologize if this is annoying, but and then you hear an audio voice: missiles, missiles, missiles. You can see that smoke is now billowing up from places in the clearly active volcano.
So, is the missiles alarm a missiles alarm, or is it a mistaken alarm for something else?
Probably mistaken, but something is hurtling towards the ship and endangering it.
I accelerate faster.
You're going to try to outrun it. Make your first pilot check. Let's see if you can do that. You're going to meet an 8
So
plus.
piloting, I don't add anything. I do not make an 8 plus.
All right. I got to go to the ship damage rules and see if this is the end of the game here and now. Let's see. Is lava, the pressure of the lava tubes has caused jammed debris from inside those caves to let loose stuff that had been jammed there. Looking. Let me turn off the alarm. That doesn't do any good, does it?
I have an idea in case we survive this.
Hit location D12, 2d6. Let's see what happens. Hopefully it's not the drive. 11. It is the turret. That's the least useful part of the ship. You see,
Oh no, we can't fire back.
if Dex isn't having a bad enough day of going unconscious, not having coffee, and not having a gun, Dex, you look outside the ship and you just see your hard point just fly off the ship. It's just gone.
I don't know if this is a viable idea, but you talked about how power is routed through all the different systems on the ship.
Yeah.
And obviously, ideally, it would be a nice and equal distribution. However, is it possible or sensible to intentionally route as much power as we can towards like the engine so we could just boost this thing, like overclock that? Like, we don't need to use the bathroom right now. We got plenty of oxygen for the next 10 minutes at least. Like,
I think that's a great idea. I think you're just trying to move fast. Well, before you do that, let me give you some more info. Is that what you're suggesting? Just to try to get away
that's
from
basically the crux of it, yeah.
All right.
Yeah, we're like, I assume I'm over the lip of the caldera. I'm just going straight as fast as I can just to get away from this thing.
Yeah, just as you were accelerating, these rocks just blew, and some of them like hurtled towards the ship, and knocked off your hard point. And now that's going to be 3 million credits to try to fix that if you want it. And here, as you're considering how you might reroute power or try to do something like that, I'll give you some more things to make some decisions about. But at this point, about 15 minutes have passed. 20 minutes have passed. You're flying away, and you're trying to figure out how to do this. Maybe you're actually, let's see here, ships. I'm gonna just move this so I don't have to keep finding it. the ship's engineer is in fact Perseus. So maybe Perseus, you're trying to figure that out, and time passes as you're trying to just get away from this volcano. You think that at this point you're probably in the clear. Like if you just wanted to cut and run, this ship is way faster than anything that volcano is about to do at this point. But you get an incoming signal, like chink, 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 and it comes in kind of through a secure, what do you call it? When an AM band, a long band, kind of a more primitive FM or AM. Mm-hmm. So the ship stops it to encrypt it and says, basically, do you want this call? Do you want to listen to this signal? Something's contacting the ship via primitive signal.
Some like hobbyist radio operator, like some kid.
Books. What do you think?
Oh yeah, no, I think we definitely would want to listen to see who's contacting us.
You're in the captain's chair, so you open up the signal. I'm gonna put on something a little more chill. Maybe everything's fine. Maybe it's fine.
Hey, hello, caller. You're on the air.
It's fine. So you get the call comes through and it's staticky and high and dry. This is Director Green. Can you hear me?
Yeah, Director Green. Go ahead. We can hear you.
Oh, thank the stars. You've got the ship. We need your help.
What's going on?
At this point, you can actually see the atmosphere filling up with plumes around from where the volcano is. You know that the ship is going to start ingesting those fumes soon. Let's see here. But you can also outrun it. But that's also something I want you to know. He says, we need a report of what's going on. Can you try to complete that scan and transmit it to us right away? We need to try to coordinate an evacuation. We need to know where the volcanic flow is where it's going to come from the mountain.
So we could tell you that we just escaped the mountain and where it was coming from. But are you asking us to go back and scan? Are you asking us to go back towards the erupting volcano?
That's
like,
right. That's right.
They really need the specifics that they can get from those sensor readings.
I know, I understand, but if we don't know that, we don't know where to evacuate to. It could mean a lot of lives.
Okay, hold on the line for one moment.
At this point, 2 minutes have passed. At this minute, 2 minutes have passed, and a low band AM starting to come through the same frequency. You can hear it kind of riding on the same frequency. You can hear in the background, "This is Dictator Masterson. Everyone, please remain calm. Just stay inside. Stay inside and please remain calm. Everything is under control." Like you can kind of hear that in the background, the frequency.
So I personally think, and I understand I'm the captain now, but I personally think we're all gonna... I think we shouldn't go back. I think we'll die, but I want to take the temperature of the crew and see what everyone else thinks. But just for the record, my vote is not to go back. But if you guys all want to, then, I'm game. But what do you guys think?
If I could boost the hell out of this engine so we can zip around like fast enough Cleon can outmaneuver any, flying rocks, I'm game. This is what I live for. Like...
That's a good point. If there's a way to make it faster, which would make it safer for us, then it does sound fun. But, live on the edge. But if not, then I think it's a death wish that I would not want to take part of.
At this point,
Yeah, it depends on...
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, it depends on how close we need to get. If they just need to figure out where the lava flows are happening, we can, it's a volcano, they're dangerous to be close to, but we can circle it from a pretty good height, and our sensors should be able to figure out what's going on. We can even see, where the lava flows are happening, and just report back from the air, basically.
I should note I agree with that, but you will be in the area of the volcano, and who knows what it will do. But you will get the sensor information within a few minutes.
Jackson's already had a turn at being a hero. He is happy. He's happy to get his ass out of there.
So it sounds like so far we've got 2 votes for leaving, 2 votes for staying. Matt, what did you say?
I'm sorry, I'm having a hard time with the audio. I can't get the music.
Oh, how convenient!
It's like way loud.
You're breaking up up there.
You're like in the bridge with everyone else.
I'm trying to turn it down with the things on the side, but it's not working.
Oh, I'm sorry. You can't turn it down, is that right?
I
I
have it all the way
refresh
down,
Foundry.
but it's still loud.
Sometimes when I would pause and then play on some of the things, the audio would begin then. So
Maybe try to Oh, go ahead.
I reloaded it. Hold on a second. Let me just get rid of it. There we go. Okay.
Sorry,
I'm with you now.
Go ahead.
What you can do on most browsers, you can just go to the tab with the virtual tabletop, and you can just mute the tab.
That's a good
That's
idea.
what I do.
okay.
Yeah, that's the easiest way to do it usually.
I'll look at that.
Yeah. Okay. I'm so sorry that got in the way, but I do like the music. But yeah, Foundry, what it does is anytime I make a change, sometimes it does this thing where it will just drive it to max volume, which is like the worst thing to do. Like, you should just do the opposite of that. I don't know. It does do that though. And you're right. If you refresh it, sometimes it fixes it. Anyways, let's see here. Matthew, 2 are for leaving this place to its fate, and 2 are for let's try to stay at as close, safe distance as we can. Let's try to get some scans. What do you
Okay.
say?
Evens we stay, odds we go.
Okay. I have one more bit of data to offer.
I got an even.
An even.
Yeah, so we stay.
Stay. Okay. Either way, I'll also give you this bit of data. All of a sudden, the engineer, let's see, that would be Perseus. Perseus, you get a system, like another system warning. This comes up as a caution. And not only do you notice that there's a power disparity in the drive system, but it seems that the fuel processors have failed. Like, and the fuel processors indicate invalid, like no information received to the system. The fuel processors, you have fuel and you're fine. You're not falling out of the air. But what the fuel processors would allow you to do is they would allow you to do a couple of things. You can take unrefined fuel and it will crack it open so that you can use it. I think that's what they do. I'm going to say that. The other thing is that without this, you're not going to be able to jump. Now that's okay. You got a couple of options. One is, you think if you could get to a starport, you could probably resolve this in a few hours. Alternately, if you didn't have the services of a starport, it would just take you a longer time, like a day or two. That's just for your all's info.
We were already planning on parking this somewhere a little bit less unpleasant anyway and finishing some more of our work on it, so jumping is not an immediate concern.
Yeah.
I do want to attempt what I... Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, if we save the city, I want to get some free repairs out of this. You're
so
giving
yeah,
us a brand
sure.
spanking new ship.
My turret is blasted.
Whatever power that would be routed to those turrets, which don't exist, I want going right into our engines. We don't need the, what do you call it, life support stuff for the next few minutes. Like, we got a good enough oxygen supply, and you guys can breathe a little bit of fart air if you have to for a few minutes longer.
So I'm hearing books that we're going to turn back towards the volcano and keep an orbit not directly over it to where you can get hit by rocks and stuff if it explodes, but to where you can use your sensors.
Yes, we are going to head back in that direction. First, we're going to see if we could reroute any systems to make us as nimble and quick as possible, and we're also going to take the safest route, possible to avoid getting crushed by a rock or something. But yeah, we're going to head back for sure, and I'll let the dude on the radio know as well.
Okay, Director Green, he's grateful. He's like, "Thank you. This will save a lot of lives with this information. Godspeed, High and Dry." And he sounds really nervous and shaken. Meanwhile, Perseus, you can make a 2d6 8+ engineering check to see if you can find a way to reroute power to give Cleon some more oomph. And then Cleon, like a bunch of crazy people, you turn back toward an active volcano.
I got exactly 8.
Nice. There you go. Okay, so either you can tell me or I can make something up. How do you reroute power through the drive system?
One thing at a time. I assume they got all the systems listed out, and I'm just reading off of like, that's not important. That's not important. We can do without. Like,
You all actually hear the sound of power, like you feel the lights flicker, like the lights.
Nobody's gonna need. Nobody's watching TV anytime soon.
Over there just turning things off.
Nobody's gonna take a shower anytime soon.
And
I'm turning off the lights too. That's gonna make this nice and dramatic.
The lights go off in the microwave. There's a little Ralston in there. And yeah, Cleon, you have now a +1 to any check. So if it's a standard check, you would meet it on a 7, but we'll see what it is. Okay.
Okay.
The next thing that happens, a minute passes, and all of a sudden you hear comms chatter. If you open up, this would also be a Perseus thing. If you open up, it seems they're operating on AM and FM. So if you open up AM, FM on different channels, you hear a bunch of like weather stations and train stations and police stations, anything with a transmitter being like, "We need more information. What are we doing what's the World Government Organization reporting? We need this situation report." And like there's just like multiple reports in different cities all around the volcano. And you guys can see if you can get some information on the mountain. It's going to take you 5 minutes to complete the readings. You won't have to make a check.
Okay.
All right. Let's see. So you start flying around. It only takes another 60 seconds to where all of the you get a high frequency broadcast that comes across really clear, and you hear the voice of the person that claimed to be Dictator Masterton, and you hear and it sounds like bumpy, and you hear ambient noise in the background. It sounds like he's in a car, and that it's going over bumpy terrain, and you hear. This is Dictator Masterson. Everyone evacuate to the nearest settlement at once. If you're in the outlying farms, if you're in anywhere near Mount Sobari, evacuate immediately. He just, you hear that coming across like an ultra high frequency, and it drowns out the other stuff. And then finally you get the readings. 20 minutes. So there's good news and bad news. The good news is that it seems like a plug developed in one of the main lava tubes, and that has given you this time to be able to complete the scans and all of this stuff. The bad news is the plug is going to create an explosion. Probably a portion of the mountain is going to go. And I lied. You will actually have to make a survey check. There's actually 2 things that kind of happen now. So, let's see. This would come from either the engineer, or I'll also say the navigator. Let's get maybe Jackson to operate the sensors.
Cool. I don't have sensor skill, but my intelligence is a 9. That matters.
Yeah, we'll say that you can do it on a 7+. Now, this will be a degree of success roll. So this will be if you find out this information right now, what you need to know.
That's a 9.
Okay, so yeah, so you pass. All right, so you find out this information early. You get updated readings. You're able to determine the direction of the potential pyroclastic flow. It looks like it's going to occur west by southwest. And you can even see now where the nearby towns are. All of the towns are safe except for the town of Barvin, which is directly in the path of the explosion. And you have 20 minutes, and then all of a sudden you hear You hear this. And then you hear an audio voice. Missile, missile, missile.
This little boy who cried wolf is actually going to end up being a missile at one of these times.
I start conducting evasive maneuvers at high
You start,
speed.
you start at high speed. So now you can you can do a pilot check at 6+, since you have some time, and you also have the bonus from Perseus.
I succeed with an 8.
Nice. These things hurtle outside either side of the high and dry, but you're able to evade them. And you cancel the ship's alarm and turn that off. Let's see here. You have 20 minutes. What do you do? Books.
Oh,
Sorry, go ahead.
So, are we complete with the readings, or do we still need to do more readings?
The readings are complete. You know exactly where the pyroclastic flow is, and you know the greatest threat, and you know it's going to explode in 20 minutes.
Okay, so I'd like to get back on the comms and let the guy I just spoke to know that it's going west by southwest, and I think you said the only town that's going to be hit is Barvin. I can't read my own handwriting.
Yeah, Barvin. Yeah.
Barvin, yeah. But so I'll let him know to evacuate Barvin, and send over the readings that we received. And I think we would at that point we got what we needed. There's no other reason to be around there, so we would take off and go back somewhere safe, away from the volcano.
That sounds good. You have 330 degrees around the volcano. Which direction do you go? Where do you go?
Let's see. So don't we want to go back to where we to the port where we first came in? Whatever direction that is.
Okay. Yeah, you could do that. So you start an orbit to circle back, away from Barvin to head towards Selbari, and then inland past the peninsula to make it to Starport Walston, or Startown Walston, past Central Lake City. And as you're starting to go, it takes a few minutes, and then two things happen. First of all, you hear some chatter, the director calls you back, first of all, if you send that information. He says, high and dry. Oh, thank you so much. You've saved a lot of lives today. We have some submersibles inbound right now. Every submersible in the area is going to try to do an evacuation via the lake. The best we can try to do is get everyone underwater. This will probably save anybody in the area of Barvin. Thank you so much. And he still sounds shaken. You still hear the emergency warning going, the kind of general broadcast. And then you get you hear a broadcast. Actually, no. Yeah, no, you would hear this. You hear, let's see here. You hear somebody on the FM. Let's see, evacuation. You hear a familiar voice. The female Varger, the personal driver that drove you up to the foothills, the base of the mountain. And you hear her saying, no, like she's like arguing with someone. She's like, you can also hear the ambient noise of a vehicle. And she's like, no, just go. I'm going after my mom and dad. I'll get there before you can. Leave me alone, And yeah, that's you hear something like that.
I have a couple questions for clarification.
And I'll give you two more things of data just to work with in case, because this is something else you see. Cleon, the gas cloud is now 30,000 feet above ground level. This is going up into the lower atmosphere, like 50, 60,000 feet if it were on Earth. So it's basically towering up. The atmosphere is just covered in volcanic ash. And Yeah, you hear somebody rushing towards Barvin. Sorry, go ahead.
All right, so I seem to recall we arrived at a starport and then we took a train to the capital, I think, of the planet
Yeah.
to get the details of the job. And I don't see any notes I took for last session, so I don't remember the names of those. Neither of those were Barvin, right?
Yeah, you did not go to Barvin. The train goes to Barvin, so they'll probably use that as well to try to help evacuate it.
I think it was the Barger Lothak.
Yeah,
Lothak.
you notice Lothak's voice
Yeah.
on the radio.
Yeah, she was from Barvin.
So,
Oh.
and she's trying to get back there now to save her family. Obviously, she probably heard that it's being evacuated. I mean, we.
Can we radio her
I don't
and
know
tell
how
her,
much-
like, I don't know, like, are we confident that the evacuation orders at Barvin are going to be sufficient to get everyone out, like the director told us?
I don't think we should trust the director. Not
We
to
should-
say
we
that,
could-
like, not to say that he's giving propaganda, but you know, he's like in charge, and so he's wanting to say that everything is okay, and so maybe we should, unless it seems particularly unreasonable, we should assume that maybe that there still is danger.
Yeah,
How
I
far
think,
away is Barvin by the? Just from flying, if we flew the ship there.
You could make it there within just a few minutes, 2-3 minutes. You get so a minute or two has passed. Can you all hear me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
The internet was acting weird. A couple of minutes pass, and you get a new signal that comes in. Who's doing the comms? It's Books.
yeah.
Okay. Yeah, you get another request like coming in on a kind of a primitive band requesting to speak with you.
Yeah, except
You hear a low voice, high and dry. This is Dictator Masterton. I am the grandfather of this world and the ruler of the planet, of the world government of Masterton. I appreciate your help, but would like to ask for more of it.
I think I would laugh to myself that he refers to himself as Dictator Matherson.
Yeah, it seems to be the official title, yeah.
But I want to hear him out. So I say, go ahead.
Unfortunately, my evacuation order had people heading towards the nearest town. Some of the outlying settlements, their nearest town was Barvin. I need your help. There's a group of farmers southeast of Barvin currently. There's about 11 of them. If you would, I need you to land and load them immediately and get them out of there.
I had a feeling we might end up scooping up some civilians today, but I just don't want them to mistake this poop smell for us. This is another shit. we just got here.
Too embarrassed to have anybody over, just die. Sorry.
Well,
So-
all this is happening
Between
since
you and
the-
Space God now, because my house is a mess.
So while this is happening, Dex doesn't have really a lot to do, so he's kind of looking at the panel next to him, and he's noticing that the plumbing is on the panel. So he's kind of looking and he's seeing, and he's following all the little lights and the things and where they go, and he notices that there's an evacuation, hole that opens in the hull, that he can suck out all of the nastiness from all the bathrooms and everything, and he just presses the button, and it all just goes right out.
Yeah,
Is that a fact?
Yeah, that's a fact.
I'm not
Just
sure
a
if
dump
it
the
is,
chamber
but
pod button.
I'm
That's what he
glad
wants
you,
to do.
Yeah,
That's what he
I'm-
wants to happen.
I'm glad you mentioned it, because something does happen. when
I
you
imagine
press
it would
that
have to be a strict galactic law that you're never allowed to hit that button while you're like within atmosphere.
He thinks it doesn't matter right now.
You press and it causes, because it's backed up, you hear "Brrr" as like these pumps and start to strain, and you hear all this electrical noise and sparks fly out. Sparks fly out from like motors that fail. And
Stop messing with my systems. I have a very specific setup right now. It's very delicate.
A random system fails for 3 minutes. Let's see. It's the Luckily, you just see that it's the power that routes to the. I'm not making this up. I rolled an 11. The power that is rooted to the turret fails, so sparks fly out from that open area, and that's what happens.
Our ship kind of looks big to me. I mean, not big, but I think it's enough that we could probably just squeeze in as many people as possible, as long as they all understand they got to gather together and just come on board without anything in hand.
Yeah, I turned towards Barvin. I think we should just land in the town square and just do like a Paul Atreides evacuation maneuver. Just get everyone in the ship.
Use the sensors to put it out on every single channel, every single radio wave.
Okay, so you're going to try to broadcast this while you're coming in and landing at the same time. Okay.
Or I guess get the villagers first, the people that were on the outskirts, because I guess they're in the most danger.
I mean, how long would it take them to get to the center of town? Because it might be easier just to have, instead of us going to them, if they go to the center of town, then we could pick up more people at once instead of making 2 stops. Could we could we call them and say, hey, how long would it take you to get to the center of town? Or maybe ask the dictator to that information?
Yeah, you talk to Dictator Masterton across the frequency to coordinate this evacuation, and unfortunately it's clear that won't work for 2 reasons. One is that the very essence of the problem is that these are a bunch of farmers and slow ground cars. And what they really need to do is go away from that town. But it's too late. And so they're not going to make it to the town. They're not going to make it away from the town. They're like in a 30, 40 kilometer per hour ground car, like a little, like midget trucks and stuff. The other problem is that you're in a scout courier. So you're not like a transport vessel. So 11 people is going to get real crazy in here.
Okay.
So I say we go pick up the farmers. If they have less of a chance of surviving than somebody else that would be in the town where they're doing evacuations and whatnot.
And Director Green has told you that the people in the town are good because they have these midget subs, the Ocean's Bounty, and a bunch of submersibles.
Yeah,
towards the villagers.
All right, so we got
the farmers.
Yeah, is that what you want to do?
Yeah, farmers.
Yeah, okay. Absolutely.
All right, so you all start to turn towards that. Let's see if you can convince and try to create a cohesive in all this chaos. Try to convince them using your sensors and communications, which is way better than all of theirs. Who has a high charisma or intelligence or something?
I have 12 in intelligence.
12. Okay, actually. So what would that look like if you have a bunch of people fleeing for their lives, but they're running directly into the thing that's going to kill them? How would you put together radio frequencies and transmissions to try to get them where you need them to go and get them to just run into a ship that they've never seen? And they've probably never been on a starship.
I mean, so I'm imagining that we can't, we don't have a loudspeaker or something like that would work.
You could access speakers, though, if you. I'll make that a check. That's pretty fancy.
Do we hack the speakers that they have in their cars?
You could dim the intercom communication system on your ship, and then blast the frequency on theirs to where it just blares, and you're like, listen up, do this. But I'll make I'll make that a check. You have to succeed on a 6+ on a 2d6. Nice, just barely. So you're able to do that. You get on their where they receive the frequencies. You just blare past Dictator Masterton, who's just droning on, and you're like, no, listen, we need Actually, what do you say to him? What do you say to the farmers?
I think we would say, if you want to live, get on the ship. We'll be landing, and I say the coordinates. If you don't, you're going to end up dying. So,
and tell them to bring their air fresheners from their cars.
Yeah.
Off the air
and I say, please mind the smell. It wasn't us. And don't use.
You sound
don't
so
use the
authoritative,
microwave.
And then you get it there. Don't use the microwave.
Definitely don't use the microwave.
Right. The next thing is trying to set up an unimproved LZ to approach into a dusty area right where there's a bunch of tiny little people as far as you're seeing, and you're doing it visually, swirling volcanic stuff all around you. Let's see if you can do it on a 7+ for a pilot check for Cleon.
Yeah. I want to like look out the window and see like where their convoy is going, and then just like land like right in the path of their convoy.
Exactly.
So they can just like come straight up. I got a 6 total.
A 6 total.
Yeah.
What did I say? Did I say?
You said 7.
7. Okay, yeah. So they're going to. This may hurt people. Let's see what happens.
Land on top of someone.
Yeah, it's actually you're just like a little too close, and they don't have enough space to break, and then just crash as they.
I rolled snake eyes. So you come in, and you do like a hard braking maneuver. I can't remember what we called this. It's called something. An assault approach. An assault approach where you are landing on the tail with the drive just burning hot right underneath you, almost like vertically, like that. And you come in and like get it to like not crash. Meanwhile, you send trucks just flying, and you just destroy their trucks and their property, and they go flying in the air. People go jumping out of their trucks, and then like you get this, and the high and dry just slams down, and billows of dirt come up, and you just drop the back, and people start pouring on a whole bunch of Vargr, all kinds of Vargr just start pouring on. They're terrified. They're screaming, and let me see. They're gonna say something.
We're gonna blame the ship on all that. By the way, you're a great pilot. Don't worry.
One of them hits their head on the way in for 2 damage. So and you see them just dragging the person in. You're able to get the ramp up, and then just try to burn hot to get up off the ground. And let's see, we've got 8 minutes left for the session. I'm not going to rush it, but let's see what happens. This is you are now only 4 minutes away from the expected eruption time, and you hear, "Mayday, mayday, mayday! I have my parents. I'm in the grav car. The lava flow." And you hear a bunch of static, and Dictator Masterton comes across and says, "Just leave them. They don't have a chance."
How
Do we know where
close
these
are
You
people
they?
are?
already know my vote.
Yep. Yeah, good question. How close are they? Do we know exactly where they're located?
About 2 minutes out.
So 2 minutes there, and then
How long till
2
the
minutes.
explosion?
4 minutes.
4 minutes. You will be in the cloud. Depending on how well it goes, you'll either be, but who knows from there what's going to happen.
Take your time with the landing this time, though, Cleon.
Yeah, I think we should go get him.
Yeah, let's
We
get
already-
them. I want to
yeah.
get them. It's like pyroclastic flows take a while to get to you. They got to travel across. It'll be fine.
I'm really worried our sensors were actually indicating like underground activity, like it's gonna blow up from beneath.
At this point, you can actually see chunks of the mountain flying, and like the sky is just dark, and streaks of lightning from all of the energy from where it's just cracking and apart in the atmosphere and stuff. And Cleon, you just floor it, balls to the wall. And you just have to go nap of the earth. You have to just hit the earth and not, and then try to slide in and probably make another pilot check. This will be at 8+ to see if you don't damage something on the ship trying to come in where this grav car is.
I fail.
What'd you get?
6.
A 6. Okay, so not like a 2, because that would be fun.
Right.
So I'll say that you damage the landing gear, basically. So
I've gotten quite attached to my engineer role, so now I'm taking personal offense to all of this. What are you doing to my ship?
You slide in, and like the high and dry is actually like laying on its side, and you just and like the door has to like kind of slide. It's just jimmied open and it's jammed, and then like some Vargr get on board, and now the door is jammed open, the main entrance door, and you only have a couple of minutes before the system expects, and at this point the readings have kind of nailed down. They think you have about 2 minutes.
All right. Lock people into the actual cabins so they don't go flying out the main door, and I accelerate out of there.
Interesting. Yeah. Okay. So you're thinking, hey, tell everybody, get inside the staterooms, strap yourself down. Very interesting.
Yeah. Everyone else is just like, buckle up, we're going fast.
Okay. So you floor it to try to get back up in the atmosphere. Meanwhile, the door is open, so like it's just buffeted, and so there's a chance that people are going to fly out of that.
I have a question. Do we have to really go up into the atmosphere, or can we just kind of go even closer to the surface? Like, straight across.
Yeah, so some things you could do, you could stay low. Where you're at, the pyroclastic flow, in this case I disagree, Ben, it will hit you by the time you're able to make it out. Now, you've got a couple of options from where you are. You see the ocean. But your door's jammed. But if the door weren't jammed, a scout, any kind of starship like this, it can fly in water. It can go into an ocean. You can just go into the ocean. Another option is trying to outrun it. Another option is to try to get above it. And then the last option would be to go straight into it. And you'd say, why would you go into it? And that's because, let's see, where you're at, -2. Actually, you only have 2 of these options as you look at it now. There's no way you could climb above it at this point or outrun it. You could dive for the water. Wait, no, you failed your pilot check. No, I'm going to put you at T-0. You don't have time to get to the water.
Is it possible for me to go over to see if I can fix the door?
Yes. Otherwise, if you don't, this could be your. Let's see what happens.
We still have a fishing line. Do we still have a fishing line?
Yeah, I find something to tie myself onto so that I don't get sucked out.
Yeah,
but I'm wearing my vac suit, and I go over and I try to fix it.
All right, it's going to be engineering 8+, 2d6 8+.
I'll try to help with that from a safer spot if I can make sure he's like held on somehow.
I'm going to see.
I have a mechanical toolkit that you can use specifically for that.
Okay, I'll make it 7+, and Cleon tells you that. And you're
I got 10.
A 10. All right, you're able to use the toolkit, and you just you're trying to work on it, and you realize at some point you just pull the whole panel off and make it analog, and you're just crank it up, and then you hear the seals, like the seals pop, and the plugs come on the seals and engage, and you save 2 Vargr lives that way. So meanwhile, this stuff is... Yeah, actually, no, you failed the pilot check. Sorry, I went back and looked here. At T-1, you're not going to make it to the water. So, this is going to hit you. Let's see here.
We can cool off in the water.
What's the nature of the pyroclastic flow? What sort of environmental effects are we talking about here?
I would call it electric storm, fire tornado, lava.
I hate that combination of words.
Flamethrower tornado storm? I don't know.
Stop adding words. Stop adding words.
Let's see. All right, let's see what happens real quick.
So you're saying our options are we can't go to the water, we can't go above it. There's no way we can avoid it at this point.
I was wrong. I looked back and actually I'll show you guys later what. It's amazing what some of the things you all did. But
is there any way we could
choosing
go
to
in front of a building?
Essentially choosing to go
or something.
Buildings are not going to save you. Yeah, your ship is stronger than anything.
Or a rock rock formation, or some kind of something we could I don't know, peek behind or like get behind to stop
I mean, it exploded a whole mountain. It's not gonna. Your ship is probably the strongest thing in this part of the planet right now. It's a combination of choosing to go get him when it happened and failing the pilot check. So yeah, it's hitting you. Bam! It hits you. But you are flying. Well, let's see what happens. 3D for all passengers, but it's minus 1D. Everybody can make a dexterity check.
So just try and roll under our dexterity.
Yeah.
No.
I failed to do so.
All right.
Just barely succeed.
Yeah, I failed.
Failed.
Made it.
Okay, anybody that failed, everybody's strapped in, and anybody that failed that does 2D, you take 11 damage. As like this just slams into you. Let's take a look. The people, they're also strapped in. So a lot of people just suddenly are knocked unconscious as they're slammed into the walls. It's a good thing that they're strapped in. But how many staterooms do you have? You have 4. Yikes. So that means that there are 7 people that are not strapped in, and they need to... I'm just going to do one check. I'm not going to do a whole bunch. Now, they pass. Okay, so that's good. So they take 6. So a bunch of people are knocked unconscious. So nobody's killed. But what about 11 damage to your stats? So starting with your endurance is actually what I'll start with.
So,
You can just pick your highest stat. Actually.
oh,
Strength,
my
endurance,
highest
or
stat
dex.
is 10.
Is that strength, endurance, or dex?
My endurance is 10 or 9, depending on, because we lost one, but I wasn't sure if we lost one for endurance and one for dexterity.
You got the
but I
endurance
wasn't-
back.
Okay, we got the endurance back, so we got 10. So I got so I have 10.
So, wham! You're slammed.
Wait.
You see Dex slammed up against the panel. Sir, go ahead. What were you gonna say?
Sorry, Dex, do you not have a good education?
Well, it's got to be strength, endurance, or
That makes sense. It would be so convenient.
So Dex
You
is
could just
slammed
take a
against
hit
the
to your-
panel.
Yeah, but PhD doesn't help much in these circumstances.
Dex hits his head, goes unconscious. That leaves 1 point. What's your strength?
My strength is 8.
It's now 7, and you hit your head against the panel. You see Dex go unconscious. Cleon, who's the ship's pilot, you take 11 damage. Do you have 11 on strength, endurance, or Dex?
I have 8 on dex.
All right, bam! You go unconscious. You see the pilot slam against the controls. Sparks fly up. He goes unconscious. You also take 3 damage to another stat. Did anybody else not pass?
I don't think I passed. Let's see. The foundry was going a little slow on my end, but it looks like
Let's see.
I can't tell.
Was this your last roll 3 minutes ago?
Yes. What did you see what it says?
It says 5. You're trying to roll under your Dex, I think.
Oh, nice.
Okay.
Okay, so yeah, you pass. So okay, you see that the pilot is unconscious for everybody else on the ship. Meanwhile, let's see. The ship's. There's 2 things that happen. One, I'm going to see if there's a malfunction on a 5+ with the drive because it was rushed. 8. There's a malfunction. So let's see what happens with the malfunction of the ship. 2. The power systems fluctuate in front of you while all this has happened, Perseus. Any systems check that requires power changes is at -2 currently, as the ship's power starts to and fluctuate.
Mm-hmm.
And meanwhile, the flight controls also, you see the pilot slump over the controls, and the flight controls fail. And you start to, the high and dry starts to plummet out of the sky, and that's where we will stop the adventure for tonight.